This is Jamie with Kindred Being, and today we have Tori with us, and she's going to share her awakening story and just this journey. And I know Tori from the Kindred Beings Facebook group, where we kind of discuss all kinds of topics about this journey we're on of awakening and ascension and everything happening on the planet right now. It's a discussion in a supportive group, and I'm so excited to have Tori with us today because her comments in the group are always so very insightful, and I always get the feeling that you're really living this. So these are not just concepts for you. This is the kind of energy I get from you, is that you are putting these into practice and you're living it every day. And it's so inspiring and so beautiful when I read your comments, and I just want to let's share your story. Let's see, where all this began for you and what this journey has been like. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for the wonderful introduction too. So you want to know where it all began?
Yeah, was this something that was taught to you, growing up from your parents? Was this something you found on your own, this path? Where did this start for you?
This path, I've always been on this path as long as I have known the path, as long as I can remember. And I guess as I grew up, I was just given the freedom to seek whatever it was that I was seeking. So there was not one particular moment in time where I decided that I needed to step on this path. Mm-hmm. It's been, I guess, an ever evolving ascension of knowledge that has always been and likely will never end. Mm-hmm. There's not one moment in time. I've lived quite a good, adventurous life. I've always been a seeker. My parents moved around a little bit when I was younger through Canada. And so I lived in smaller communities. I lived up north. So it just started out being introduced to a diversity of cultures and ideas and people. And I was always interested in what else was out there. When I was very young, I could see things like ghosts or maybe elementals, something. So I knew there was something else than just what we could see or were being told. And when I grew up, when I was 19, I started traveling the world. And that really opens your mind to everything, to possibilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when did you start seeing things? When did you start seeing like ghosts or spirits or energy or entity? When did that start?
That's more like when it stopped. I mean,
okay. So
I saw them when I was young, and we lived quite a bit up north, and I don't know what it was I was seeing. And when I was about 5 years old, I believe they may have been the elementals, mm-hmm. and because we were in the wilderness, and they weren't the ghosts that I was used to seeing. So when I asked my father what it was, he told me they were the devil, and I got scared. So I declared in that moment that to God, that I knew God at the time, that I didn't want to see them again. Mm-hmm. So I didn't. And I haven't seen them since, and that's okay. I feel things now, and it's different. But when I came to an understanding of what that was, I don't believe it's the devil. Mm-hmm. And, it's just other things other than just us on this earth doing other things. So that made me curious. And I'm curious by nature. And so I've read and done many, many things that have opened my mind and talked to people. And my questions are always, what did other people believe, and what did they see or know? And mm-hmm. It's led me along a path where I became a herbalist some 30 years ago. as into the alternative healing realm, and I became a Reiki master some 25 years ago, which was my introduction into the energy realms.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I come across something that resonates with me, that I guess some people would say they're guided to, or a book jumps off the shelf, or a
Right.
class shows up, I take them. So I have many modalities in energy work. I teach meditation, I'm certified to teach 2 types of meditation. And so I have very diverse knowledge that has just happened on this great path of life,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. There's so many great points in there. So you feel like, looking back, you were led to these kind of all different kinds of modalities. Is that so?
I know what you mean by being led, but I would actually say that I followed, but it wasn't necessarily following anything. It just felt like when a door opened, I just walked through it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a draw necessarily. I just took opportunities as they showed up. And I think that's why we're here. We're here to experience life. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience, and you don't get this great physical experience other than right here, where we can taste and smell and touch and feel and have emotions. And so it's I find life so exciting. And just every time I get even more excited about something, I just go learn it or do it, or that's.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So it's almost like you're just kind of being inspired to go where, I know we don't want to use the word led, so like,
Well, it's okay. I get it.
just to explore the opportunities that are in front of you. That's kind of what I've experienced to get me to the place where I am now, in all aspects of my life. So I so identify with that. So do you feel like those experiences are being put in front of you for a reason? Or how are those coming into your awareness?
When we say they're being put in front of us, we're assuming there's an outside force that's placing them there. And I don't think it's quite like that. I mean, I fully believe in a source
Mm-hmm.
that moves in through, but also as me. And as how do I put this? I see myself as a vortex of energy that attracts like energy. And so, according to where I am at, things just naturally fall into my vortex. So,
Mm.
um, not necessarily led or placed, but I have just kept moving on the path, and that's it. You have to keep moving. I went traveling the world to move, to see, and you don't have to do it that way, but it's certainly an easy way to keep moving. And I just kept moving. I at one point got a one-way ticket to India,
Mm.
and stayed away for almost 2 years, just deciding to go where I guess the wind blew me, is how I looked at it, when I was
Right.
23. But it really brought me to some incredible experiences, that has opened my mind and my heart, and I just keep moving now. I don't travel anymore, but I'm always now aware of the possibilities.
Yeah. Yeah. I love how you put that. So you're basically explaining how all this is working energetically, whereas we are energetic beings and we are attracting things to us that match our energy, or are of, in alignment with our energy. So that's another way to put it, that I love that way, because I think we use those terms of being led and things being placed in front of us because that's how we understand things with our analytical thinking mind. But you are so right about the energy attracting instead of, an outside force. It's our own self and our own energy and our own, power as a being here on this planet, and kind of taking control of that and taking responsibility for that is a big concept and a major thing to live that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that point. I love that.
And then all of our inner energies intertwine too, because my energy must somehow resonate with yours. So it's not just that I'm attracting, you are also attracting. So then that's how we sort of spin into each other's vortex. I struggle sometimes with the words to use. I can use so many different words, but that's how I see it.
Well, it's kind of difficult, isn't it? Because there's so many things that there aren't words for, and kind of all these concepts that, I'm sort of newly introduced to all of these concepts, and it's hard to put your experience into, our words, our, dictionary words, or, using the ABCs to explain these experiences that, our language is so limited. And, I'm looking forward to the telepathic communication that hopefully is coming, where we could just, express ourselves in that way.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Oh, yeah. I think a lot of us are doing it already, doing it now, connecting with each other in that way. I look forward to that, to doing more of that.
Yeah.
So you've been in this kind of spiritual community, it seems like, for, some time. So has it changed to you? Have you noticed a shift in it? What's different now than what it was when you first kind of were introduced to this community?
I don't know if I necessarily see the change, because people are drawn into these conversations and these places because they are ready for some information, or they're seeking some information, or are ready to share some information. And people come and go. People come and go quite a bit. And they'll come for a bit, they'll leave, they'll sort of assimilate their life or get on, life takes over somehow. And then they might come back after a while. So it's always ebbing and flowing. I know we're talking about, as we go into the shift, and we're saying that the balance is going to shift. I think what I also see is more people are open to the possibilities, I guess. People are seeking a little bit, starting, but I don't see a huge mass, in the outside world shifting. But there are definitely more core people that are curious and growing and exploring and learning these tools of ascension, I guess.
Mm-hmm. What kind of changes are you seeing in our outside world then, as far as energetically and, this shift that we're experiencing? Are you experiencing it yourself?
It's hard for me to see what's going on in the mass. I've been in these circles my entire life, people that have, that are Reiki masters and other such energy workers, and, prana workers, and just, everything. And that's who I live around. That's my community. That's my job. So that's what I see. Mm-hmm. And it's hard for me to see what's going on necessarily in the masses, as you may, as, a leader of a greater group. So it's hard for me to see that growth, like I
Yeah.
said. So
Yeah.
how have what was the second part of that question?
Well,
Sorry.
if you're experiencing like this shift, are you experiencing the energies coming in? Does it feel different to you now than it did before? You know?
Okay. I'm not sure I'm going to answer this the way you want me to again, because I used to feel it much stronger, say 20 years ago. I would feel people would say, oh, there's something going on, or, do you feel the shift? And, there's been shifts all along. We've
Mm-hmm.
always talked about them, from the harmonic convergence, in those times. So I used to feel it more and understand. I'd always feel anxious, or certain other things I would feel, or things would come up, and then I would look to see, oh, I wonder if something's going on. Is Mercury in retrograde, or those types of things? And
Mm-hmm.
as I've evolved personally, and I do meditate a lot, I do a lot of energy. I don't feel the energy as profoundly as I did, and I think that's where you go when you've worked a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm used to it moving through my body. I'm used to
Right.
that, and it's just become a part of me and who I am. And I work on being conscious as often as I can in a day. And so I know it's always shifting, always changing. I'm always open to it. So I'm open to these energies. My door is open, so I don't feel the air, moving
Mm-hmm.
through as profoundly as I hear other people doing it. I don't have the symptoms that people seem to have as they move through this ascension so much. But I mean, things happen to me, but on a more personal level, when when a lot of people are out there saying, "Oh, something must be going on," I feel it. I don't necessarily, but I have a knowing of it. Is all.
Mm.
And have I changed? I change every day, Jamie. I'm always working on something, or you can work on something forever, or assimilating, or being um, conscious every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're all headed, is that consciousness, being aware of everything around you at all the time.
That is such a great point. So do you feel like when you were first working with energy, did you get some of those symptoms that people are talking about? You did at that
Yes.
point? Because I think
Uh-huh.
that's probably, you hit the nail on the head there. That so many people are waking up right now and experiencing these things for the first time. So there's something to be said for the fact that they are waking up now. I don't know, I don't have the numbers in front of me, if there's more now than there was before, but people are waking up and experiencing these things. And so, we hear so much about these ascension symptoms, but I love your point that you've been experiencing energy and working with energy, longer than maybe some of us who are just waking up. Um, and so your body is used to it. And I love that point because I think this is something that happens to a lot of us, and some people get discouraged. That
Mhm.
kind of in the beginning of this experience, you feel all kinds of things that are new to you, and it's so exciting and sometimes scary, but exciting. And then you get to a point where it almost it's a plateau, and so people start getting concerned with, oh, did I lose my connection? Or, what's going on? But I love that you're saying it's kind of like your body getting used to it, and there's not to say that there's farther to go up, this on this mountain, this path of this mountain, and there's not more in front of you to experience, but you do experience those plateaus and those feelings, like kind of it all evens out for a while, and then you can, advance farther if that's your goal, or whatever your goal may be, or whatever's happening with you energetically. But it's not necessarily, kind of a steady climb, working with energies. And I love that you're bringing that forth, because I think that's so important for everybody to understand. It doesn't mean that you've, you know, not in your story, but I hear in other people's stories where people are concerned that they've lost a connection. And because the energy changes and your body's accepting the energy in a different way.
Mhm. Maybe it's a little bit like working out. When you're working out a muscle, at first it hurts,
Yeah.
and then once you build it doesn't hurt anymore. Then you have to up your
Absolutely.
weights. And
Yeah.
I think everything that we're learning, we're on a spiral, and we can't be on a constant upward climb. You have to spend some time, and people look at it as a plateau, but really it's a time of assimilating. And that's how we have to look at it. You can't just keep learning. At some point you have to go out and be it and do it and practice it. And you can't be doing really both at the same time. You learn, and then it looks like a plateau, but you're really just learning to live what you've learned. And then once you're ready to go again, something will show up. So people will keep evolving, keep growing, keep expanding. Even if they think they're done, oh, well, they're probably not.
Yeah.
And things change, and you just grow in different directions or levels, but you're always expanding, into something else. And never worry. It's inevitable. We're all ascending. It's absolutely inevitable, but we can work on ourselves and fast track it. And that's kind of the fun part. That's why we're here, to experience that. I mean, if you really want to get into it, when we're not here anymore, if you believe in another place, we're everything and all that is. So we're already there.
Right.
It's just about bringing our physical being, closer to that point. And
yeah,
do what you want and go where you want, and it's all perfect.
Right. And it's all fun, and it's part of the journey, all these experiences,
Yeah.
I definitely believe that we're here in these bodies for experiencing, and then we choose. So we choose whether we want to, work with energies and expand our thinking in these ways. That's our choice. And once you do make the choice, I think amazing things happen. But it's certainly something that we have control over, and it's just so fun. This journey is so fun. And so, like, with your experiences, what do you think that you would like to share with the average Joe about, kind of working with energies and the information that you've received? What would you most like to tell them?
If I'm speaking to average Joe, well, it can't be so average, but
yeah, nobody's average, right?
Right? That's totally right. And there's a couple things that you said I wanted to address too, but let's go to average Joe. And if I were to impart any sort of wisdom to somebody who, I don't know, is looking for the next thing, or how to open themselves up to the truth of all that is, however we want to say that, we all have access. But what holds people back, what I've discovered through all of my time, and we could talk for hours about how I discovered that, but the things that hold us back are our shadows. And we've talked a bit about shadows. It's come up in various places. And shadows are the parts of us that we created, the individualized expression of who we are. And there's a lot of great reasons to have shadows, but they are what create you as the individual. when you were very young, when you decided maybe you weren't worthy or lovable or smart enough or strong enough, or whatever those shadows are that keep us from perfection. And they do keep us from perfection. And if you can do any kind of shadow work, and I can teach them as well, but that's where the most profound openings can happen. If you can find your shadows with whatever modality you find and work with it, to integrate it, to bring the light to it, lots of ways to speak to that. You bring yourself more into your perfection and more clear for the energies, for the information, for anything to move in and out of you, because that shadow is no longer blocking the light. But shadow work is even, go back to psychology, it's even from young, so it's science-based too. We can go into all of that as well, but we're talking sort of, energy here, and it's all the same thing. Take responsibility for your shadows. And once you clear the shadows, everything is in front of you, whatever you want.
Yeah, it's about creating like your experiences. That's how I'm interpreting what you're saying. And I love your point about the shadows blocking the light. And that reminds me of my very first Beyond Quantum Healing session as a client. And my higher self basically said the same thing. And I kind of likened it to, after the session, a dirty lantern. So imagine, a glass lantern with a light, that's lit. But the glass of the lantern is so dirty that the light is dimmed, and then you clean that lantern and you can see the light shine out very brightly. And so that's kind of the same thing my higher self was saying. It's about cleaning all that out, transmuting it, and letting your light shine.
That's a great way to put it. That's a great way to see it. Yeah.
I love that point.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Let's talk about how you work with energy. Like, how do you put that into practice in your life?
I live energy, Jamie. I don't.
Yeah.
That's a hard question.
See that. I can see that in you.
It started. It started when with Reiki, when I understood that energy moved and I could manipulate it somehow. And many other energy modalities since then have shown me that you can do that. And when you have success with a client and you take away their pain, or you heal their knee or whatever, you see that energy in action. And so, I did that 25 some years ago, possibly even 30 if I really want to count. But so you see energy. Energy is everything, and energy is everywhere. And I used to love science when I was young. Physics tells you that my table isn't solid. It's just moving energy. And so energy is never lost or gained. It is, it's just so many things from every modality, science-based, energy-based, meditation, where you're guided to open yourself up basically to the energy of the universe. So you can just sit in that blank slate of the universe when you're in meditation, and it's beautiful, but you can move it, and you can a thought will create energy. And so I'm always living in energy. So when I'm breathing, I can feel the prana, which is the energy behind the breath, enter my body. I have spent a lifetime becoming conscious of that, doing all the things that we learn, so that I'm conscious not just when I'm in meditation, but I'm more conscious in everyday life. So if I'm doing the dishes, I'm going to just clear myself out and just be very focused just in doing dishes. And that's my moving meditation now. And I still recognize that energy is moving there and then. Every word we speak is energy. Every thought that I have is energy. And we kind of learned that back in, the days of The Secret, where thoughts become things. And so that triggered me. Oh, I better be very conscious of my thoughts because they are moving energy. And so put all that together, and I put little sticky notes up all over my walls with double arrows or other various things, just to remind me to see myself all the time. And I grew up seeing energy, I guess. I think that's just one of my talents, which is hard to explain. Some people are clairvoyant or clairaudient or all that, and I just somehow sense and feel the movement of energy. And we all do. When we walk into a room, sometimes something's gone on, somebody's just had a fight, that you're feeling that energy in there. Lots of people can do that. But if you start to recognize that's what you're doing, you start to build that muscle, and you get better at it and better at it. And the more aware you are, the more you acknowledge it, the more it builds and builds and builds until it becomes you. And that's how you live energy. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes so much sense. Yeah, I'm just working on that now. I think I've been able, again, like you say, we all have this ability. So I think I've been able to feel energy, but it's recognizing it for me at this point in my journey, and understanding what kind of energy I'm feeling, so just kind of like, just kind of putting a definition on it for my own benefit, to learn from the energy that's coming in, and then putting that into practice in my everyday life. So that's where I'm at with it, and it's all so exciting. This whole journey is so exciting. Every time you learn something, or you're exercising, these new abilities that are actually new. But I love the way you put that, because I think that's an easy way for us all to understand how to expand, and how to understand how to use these abilities that we all have.
Sometimes it's also about being. It's not about like always seeking the ability. It's just about being in it. You're not, you don't always have to be saying, okay, I need to understand this. I need to know what it's telling me. And that's good, because that's fun to try to figure out. You don't always have to be there. You can just be in it and feel it. And that alone, if that's almost a meditative space, disengaging the mind and just allowing the feeling, that feeling actually expands, and you start to understand it on a different level that's not intellectual. You're removing the mind. You're going into the heart, and you're now connecting to source and to all that is. And that's where words no longer matter.
Yeah.
Keep engaging our mind. We're just going to keep engaging that words have to be part of the system.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Very beautifully put. Are you someone who puts meditation into practice in your everyday life?
Yes.
Yes.
Every day, all day, as often as I can. So, when I became a Vipassana instructor, which is very classical, you sit in, pose for a half an hour, single focus, learning how to manage the monkey mind. I had to meditate an hour a day for a year to receive that certification. That was really, at the beginning, I had meditated a bit before, but that really gave me a solid practice. And that was over 15 years ago. So I have that practice, and I developed that. But then I became it's called transcendental rebirthing. Somebody's named it, but it's about breathing and drawing in that energy behind the breath, and it helps bring you into a meditation. I do guided meditations, but all of this meditation has brought me to a level of awareness of where you're going when you meditate. So I've done it for so long now, I can go there when I'm standing in line at a grocery store. So I can just center myself, clear my mind, and I'll call that a 2-minute meditation. It's not pure, but it's still centering and clearing and connecting. And so, do I have a practice? I will sit in meditation sometimes, not half an hour anymore, maybe 15 minutes. I'll do guided meditations probably every day, sometime in the middle of the day. I'll meditate in the morning when I wake up, and I'll listen to something as I go to sleep. But every moment I can be conscious of consciousness, I'm in that meditative state and connected. And so that's my goal, is to not have to sit in meditation, because I can bring that and be in real life. I don't have to meditate 12 hours a day to develop those skills and to have that connection. You just find ways to do it as often as you can. I had a great instructor for my Vipassana training. He was an 87-year-old monk, and he reminded us that meditation is cumulative, which means if you meditate 5 minutes 3 times a day, that equals 7 hours a month of meditation. So you don't have to sit and fight with yourself for a half an hour every day. You just have to find moments. And yeah, people say it's hard. It is at first. You're training your monkey mind. You're training yourself. I still have a million thoughts when I'm in there. It's just about how you manage them. You can't stop the thoughts necessarily. It's just how you treat them once they show up. And meditation can be a way of life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like living a meditative life. So what kind of experiences do you have through meditation? What does that look like for you?
What
It runs a gambit, right?
I'm not really sure how to answer that question. What happens when I meditate? What happens? What's the result?
Well, what happens to your body? So, you're already feeling energy. Is energy any different when you meditate? Say, we might have viewers who've never meditated before. What kind of experiences have you had energetically? Do you see things? Do you go on journeys? What's that been like for you?
Meditation can be all of those things, and everybody's going to have a different experience. And every time I meditate, it is a different experience. So I've done some profound meditations where I'm no longer in my body. The purest kind of meditation, you really are getting to such a relaxed state, and you're just not even really in your body. You're here, you're grounded, you're centered, but you can't feel your body and you can't sense your mind. You are aware. You have a single pointed awareness of all that is. And it's beautiful and it's blissful and it's quiet. It's actually, the sound of silence is quite noisy, but it's a blissful, wonderful place to be. And I've spent time where I've meditated several hours a day, where you can live on 3 hours sleep if you're meditating for 3 hours a day. It can be very healing. It can heal your mind, your body. You can do so many things. I'll meditate into a pain I might have. For lots of reasons, I can dissipate pain just by expanding it.
Gosh, I didn't know other people did that.
But when you're first doing it, it's not easy. It's just about trying to find the space between the words. We're always thinking 60-some thousand thoughts a day or more, something like that. If you can find the space between the words, it's very calming and loving, and just is a wonderful feeling. Even if it's only for a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. That reminds me of kind of a story I wanted to share, but I do want to kind of respond to what you just said about dissipating pain by expanding it. That is so neat that you're bringing that up, because that's kind of my experience that I've yet to share with anybody. That when I'm feeling pain, expand it, and it kind of it feels like it gets very intense. The pain gets very intense. And then after feeling that for really just a few moments of that intense pain, it then kind of as you say, dissipates, kind of like goes away slowly. And, for me, the pain can then either be gone completely or just very small, like where you barely notice it. So I didn't know people actually practiced that. That was just something that I kind of found on my own. That's amazing. And I wanted to share something else. So I'm not sure if it was last week or the week before, but we were talking about in the group about healing ourselves. And you shared something that was really amazing about how you heal your body and how you heal the cells in your body. And you just kind of talk to them and kind of tell them to be, healthy and regenerative. And I thought that was really special. It's something that I had been practicing, but not to that I don't know if I can say the word, but not specifically as you described. And so I took that information that you gave, and last week on Monday, I felt myself coming down with a head cold. I've been around people who were coughing, and I was like, oh no. Well, I was feeling it myself for about 2 days. I felt like it was going to be a bad head cold coming. And so I took the time to meditate, and I did a healing meditation, and I used a lot of the information that you gave in the group. To just kind of talk to my cells and say, hey, look, we're going to heal this. I don't need to get sick right now. And just kind of focusing my energy on the places where I was experiencing this cold. And I felt definite energy coming into my body. And it was kind of like the expansion of pain that we just talked about, where the energy was very strong and very sharp in certain places, like in my forehead, my sinus area, and my throat is where I was feeling it. So it would get very, very sharp. And then when I felt it was complete, all that kind of sharp energy dissipated, and I never came down fully with having a cold. The next day, I was doing the meditation in the evening. The next day, I woke up and I felt great. I felt just fine, like I had no cold at all. So I wanted to share that with you.
That's a good story.
Information, and it was so helpful.
Good. I'm so happy. I'm glad it worked.
Yeah. So is this something that you practice like often with your own body?
Yes, all the time. Well, I mean, we always get little aches and pains, and I'm always curious about them. But so even if I don't have something like that's nagging at my attention to take care of, like a head cold or something, I will every once in a while sit in focused meditation, draw the light into my pineal gland, which is how I do it, and then I direct it from there to go to the heart, actually, and then from there it goes to where it needs to be. But I've done things where I've moved through my body, and I'll go through my left brain and right brain and eyeballs and ears. Everything relaxes. And now that I'm saying this, I remember way back when I first started meditating, one of the techniques was relax your toes, relax your feet, relax your calves, and work your way up your body. And that was using your muscles. But it can be not just muscles. It can go so much deeper. So I'll do it and I'll move my way down through my organs, and I'll go through, my liver and my gallbladder, and, I'll follow things around in my body, or I'll go into my knee and just sort of check around, the tendons and cartilage, and I'll just start directing energy there.
Yeah.
I do it on a regular basis, just kind of for fun, because I like, I like the human experience. So I'm like, I'm going to go check out my foot. And if I find something, which is sometimes when you're looking, you find, and you're like, oh, I didn't even know I had that pain there. I think I'll just go deal with that pain. But I think, we were supposed to do this on Friday, and I had a couple things come up. I did injure myself. I think I bruised a rib more than cracked it. But so
that's a lot better than cracking, but that's still bad.
Yeah, it's healing fairly quickly.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because I'm healing it myself. Of course, I'm not going to a doctor or anything. It's
Mhm.
breathe and it's so, but I'm in a fair bit of pain, or I have been in a fair bit of pain. So again, I am going in, and I'll find the source of the pain, and I'll just instruct the cells to release all the inflammation and allow anything to move in and out of it, in its perfect health, nutrients to go in, oxygen, and let go of and to heal itself, because I know that it has the technology itself to heal
Mm.
itself. And I
Mhm.
and I just say, I give it all the light, is what I'm doing. It knows what it's doing. So I'm just saying, like, basically I'm telling it, but you could just direct light to it, and, just ask the light to do what it needs to, to give it that energy that it needs to do what it knows how to do to heal faster. And so, and so, yeah, I do it just for fun, and I
Uh-huh.
do if I need to. And I like the ones just for fun now, because I've discovered that I'm actually clearing up stuff that I don't need the head cold to tell me to clear it. Maybe that's just something saying,
Oh,
hey.
great point.
So if I'm just doing it on a regular basis, then
It's like maintenance, regular maintenance,
that's
right?
right, I guess, is what it's come to. I've thought about creating a meditation, detox the body through meditation.
Oh, I would
And
practice that.
yeah, it would be a good one to do every once in a while. Why not? Let's just go through all the organs and,
Oh, yeah.
draw in the colors of the chakra associated to it, or the essential oils and
Mhm.
whatever, and just focus on that and allow it to receive your energy, whether it's Reiki or just light, or
Mhm.
whatever it is that you practice, but go through the body and heal yourself with your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's to me is the only way to heal. As a Beyond Quantum Healing facilitator, it's called Beyond Quantum Healing, and we put people in hypnosis, but we make sure everyone understands that all healing is self healing. So we're only kind of getting people in a state where they're able to understand that and do the healing for themselves. So absolutely, we're doing that, and we're deciding, to heal ourselves or to be sick, and so when you're understanding that, then you have the power back over your life to heal yourself, when needed. And I think that's so amazing. Again, not going outside of yourself for these things, but looking inside for complete healing, that we have the ability to do that.
We do have the ability to do that, and it's very empowering. But for people that are just stepping in to understanding it, it can be very scary, because it feels like a lot of responsibility. So how often have you had people come in, and maybe I shouldn't direct it at you, but when I worked Reiki with people, I could get rid of the pain for them, or give them some
Mhm.
temporary healing. But I found more often than I like to see, it would come back, or
Mhm.
it would reoccur in some way. And that's when I started to look at shadows, because if you tell somebody that they can heal themselves, but they have a shadow that says, well, clearly I'm not smart enough, or certainly not worthy, or you know I have all this dogma that tells me that I shouldn't be able to do this, or whatever our shadows are. If you can get rid of that shadow, you actually now don't have it in the way of your own healing. And that's why I've discovered the shadow work is essential for,
Mhm.
for all of this work, because we have to get rid of the things in our way. The only thing in our way for being in perfect health, or in opulence and prosperity, and in love and all of those things, is ourselves. And that's sometimes hard to be responsible for in the beginning, because it seems overwhelming, and I didn't cause that, and I didn't do this, and why, but it's the shadows. I'm not worthy, or like I said, but
Mhm.
um, you can get rid of those, and that just allows free reign, free flowing energy to do those things, to heal ourselves, to yeah, regenerate ourselves,
I love
anti-age.
Yeah, I love that. And I so agree with you. And yes, I think you're right. It can be very overwhelming and there's a lot of fear in it, and then um, once you're able to release even just a little bit of those shadows, how freeing it feels, and it's hard work. Really looking into yourself and looking at things that you might not be comfortable looking at. It's not easy work, but then releasing that and letting go of that heaviness and that weight that you've been carrying, is so transformative and can change everything. But yeah, I agree with you. It's like the integrating of the information that's coming through. So when you're helping and assisting someone energetically with healing, it's then that information that needs to be integrated into their being to understand. Not to welcome that kind of shadow energy back in, So I love that point. So tell us a little bit about more of what you do. Like, what kind of sessions do you offer for those who are looking for to find out more about this information and to experience your energy firsthand?
Well, I have a great program for shadow release. It's so easy. It's the easiest one I've ever found, and a layperson can do it. I'm not going to do anything woo woo or go straight into the science and into psychology and but also into the quantum. But the layman can do it. And unfortunately, I don't have a website, and I do things locally. And I have taught meditation or facilitated meditation in various, people's homes or churches that have had space or have invited me. I've not put myself out to the world, and I would love to. I just don't quite know how. And I'm working, I guess, on the shadows that are preventing me from doing that as well, because that's the next step for me. So right now I actually walk around life. I've got a beautiful job that I am out and about and always seeing people. I'm always in the right place at the right time. And I seem to be around people that are trying to find this information out right when I'm standing there. And so I'm offering information on an individual basis. Usually, it's always free, actually, that kind of information. And I teach people how to meditate over lunch or over coffee or whatever in the lineup at Safeway. And
Wow.
so I don't have an offer, which is, I did mention that, when we said, I said, I don't have an offer. I just can sit here and talk. And I wish I did. I wish I could say, come to my webinar on the Q process and we'll get rid of all your shadows and see where that takes you. And, that's coming for me. And it's just it's not here right now. You can find me on the Facebook page, and I'll always give my unsolicited or solicited opinion.
Well, I think you have so much to share. So let's start with where you're located. Where are you located?
I'm in Edmonton, Canada.
Canada. Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you can find Tori in the Kindred Beings group. So you could always go to the Kindred Beings group and type in the name Tori in the search, and her beautiful picture will come up, and you can contact her that way if you have any questions about the information from tonight, or you just love her energy and want some more of it.
Thank you for the chat, Jamie. It was fun.
Oh my gosh, I feel like there's so much more to talk about, and I hope that we can, do this again and get some more information and share your energy with everybody, because it's so bright and so beautiful, and we would love to have you on again.
Maybe next time I'll launch my webinar.
Oh, that would be exciting. Yes, I want to be part of it. Yeah, sign me up.
Okay, well, I'll let you know. And I'm just working on my shadows to get me there, but it'll happen. Just a matter of time. Thanks so much, Jamie.
Thank you so much, Tori. And thank you all for viewing, and we will see you in the next video.